Well, welcome back to another episode of The High Ground. I'm Reed.
And I'm Matt.
Today we're going to do something a little bit different. There was a recent Supreme Court decision that was passed that upheld the state's right to essentially require age verification in some form or fashion in regard to people being able to have access to pornographic sites, with the expressed intention of trying to eliminate underage use, to which, to my best knowledge, was always a kind of law or stipulation to begin with. However, beforehand, it just really wasn't enforceable. And so now, in more recent times, they decided, okay, before you can access the site, any of its content, you're going to have to provide, identification, something that proves your birth date, et cetera, et cetera. Then somebody challenged it, and as of recent, the Supreme Court decided to deny that challenge and uphold states' rights to, on a case-by-case basis, on a state-by-state basis, to implement the restrictions, ban, what have you. So with all that being said, today we're interested in something a little bit different. To preface everything, this is not how either one of us truly feels or our, ingrained opinions. This is simply us trying to argue from one side of the issue to the other and doing our best to argue either side and trying to see maybe the whole picture. So with that being said, with the flip of a coin, Matt has won the honor of helping to fight against this, be the opposite opinion, basically saying that,
I'm against the Supreme Court decision.
Right, and that it shouldn't be allowed for, the state regulation should go away. And on my side is to uphold the Supreme Court decision saying that, okay, for lack of a better word, it's the right thing to do. Like, okay, yes, states should have the ability to do so, and that should be a legal thing to do. So with that being said, to get us started, Matt, why do you think that it was a mistake by the Supreme Court? Why do you think that the ban should not be a thing?
All right, so I will start off by saying I haven't done much research into this topic. The details of the case are blind to me. I was more concerned with the reasons the Supreme Court even has this case in the first place. I think it's kind of asinine and a complete waste of resources. This second Trump presidency has definitely stockpiled some cases on their doorstep. Just this seems like a very odd one that they have their hands in. Doesn't seem like something the Supreme Court should be getting into. And then you get into like all it really amounts to. These websites have to allegedly have a prompt when you get on their website where you click yes, you're 18 or no, you're not 18. That doesn't really do anything. All it's doing is wasting people's time and wasting this website's money. If you're 16, if you want to watch porn, you really think you're going to click no, I'm not 18 and get kicked out of the website? Or you're going to click yes, I'm 18 and jump right in? So it seems like, to me, a pretty asinine thing to even be debating. As on a state level, and especially Supreme Court level, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's a complete waste of time. What do you think, Reed?
Well, I think unbeknownst you, I think you might have actually helped me make my point, at least in one area. So I think that the situation you just described, where the old way of doing it, a prompt came up where it would say, hey, click this button, click, are you 18? Yes or no. And that's kind of the way it's been for, as long as pretty much anybody can remember. And, okay, obviously, click yes and then continue on your about your day. And I think that's part of the reason why they decided to take it a step further, in the sense that, okay, it's just a button click. Anybody can do it, whether you're, 35, 15, whatever your age is. And so it didn't really provide much of a countermeasure to the issue. It essentially just left the argument opening, hey, we did our due diligence in saying, oh, we stopped them, we asked them a legitimate question, oh, they lied. So it essentially eliminates us from liability. Which, I mean, no lawyer, of course, but I feel like, okay, it accomplished that because it put it back, the ball in the court of the user of saying, yes, I'm 18 or older when in fact I was not. So later on, somebody couldn't come back and say, oh, well, we asked the question, we gave them a chance to be truthful and they lied. So that's on them. And so with that being said, obviously it's not a realistic, if your goal is to limit the use of underage access, then for all practical purposes, that's simply not enough. And it just doesn't work that way. And so taking that extra measure of saying, hey, okay, you have to submit some kind of verification, whether it be an ID or some other means. I mean, I feel like there's plenty of identity verification pieces of software companies out there to where this, in fact, kind of solves that problem. Is it annoying, inconvenient? Sure, absolutely. If we're really wanting to take this issue seriously of limiting and restricting underage access, no different than we would to say alcohol, tobacco, or something else, then this is pretty much the most logical step. I mean, most of the time, whether you step into a restaurant, a bar, or whatever, okay, hey, let me see your ID. Show me your ID that says you are in fact 18, 21, or whatever it is.
So can I stop you right there?
I was going to stop anyway, so that works out.
So let me pose this question to you, young sir.
All month and a half. Gone.
Yes, but you're younger. So let me pose this to you. You gonna put your ID into a porn site? You gonna give them your social security number, your driver's license? You gonna give them any relevant identification at all? You gonna type that into Pornhub? What say you?
Well,
No, it's a yes or no. This is like a Supreme Court ruling. I'm gonna interject every time you don't give me the answer I want. It's a yes or no.
sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's a yes or no.
Well, I'll answer yes or no. That's fine. But after I say either one, will you allow me to expound upon that? What I mean by yes or no?
Possibly. Only if it's the answer I'm looking for.
Sounds about right.
Works for the Supreme Court, should work for us.
So would I personally do so? The answer is
Or
no.
sorry, Congress. I misspoke.
Whatever floats your boat.
I've been wrong once or twice.
So for a number of reasons, my black and white answer would be no. And here's why.
Your answer's like your vision.
Funny fucker, aren't you? Well, first and foremost, it's very, it's very sketchy. I think, putting that kind of information out there for any site, whether it be a porn site, whether it be to verify your age for, some kind of birthday discount, whatever it may be. It can be. It can be
What the
dangerous.
fuck sites are you getting on that have birthday discounts that require social security numbers?
Anytime like you sign up for like a mailing page or something for like a restaurant or something, they send you like a coupon, your birthday, you tell them, oh, my birthday's on this date, and then you get like an email saying, oh, happy birthday, enjoy like 10% off, whatever.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm talking about. So let's just
So
say,
Pornhub doesn't offer birthday discounts.
I mean,
That's a
I
shame.
don't know. Maybe they do. I cannot personally verify that at this time.
It's a shame.
With that being said, there are a number of places where I've had to go just to my, whether it be work, this, that, and the other, a few sites that for professional reasons have had to verify my identity. One of the more known and popular ones being LinkedIn. One of the ways of doing so, like, hey, if you want to get that little check mark or that, hey, verification thing that helps cut back on, people scamming, people creating fake identities, whatever. It's that extra kind of.
Now, doesn't X make you pay for that check mark now?
Honestly, I cannot say. I have to look into it. That might be part of
I
the.
thought they got rid of the
part of it.
normal ways and means of identity verification. Say you pay us enough, we'll give you a check mark.
I honestly could verify that. Maybe the case, or maybe something else. I have not. I've not looked into it.
Who knows? Maybe I'm the fake media. Guess
But-
we'll find out.
The point is, I mean, traditionally, yes, it's been a lot more sketchy than it is now, and I will give it some credit. I've seen it seems like the process of trying to verify identity and age is getting better with time. Like either the sites are more secure, or obviously, okay, it says, hey, you need to verify your identification, and I'll do a quick search to make sure, okay, this company's in fact legitimate. It's not some weird thing that pops up that's trying to steal my information. So I don't think there's ever a point where it can be perfect, because I think regardless of how secure it is, anytime you put your personal information out there, it's a risk.
Yep.
But I think that goes with anything in this day and age. I mean, people putting names and information on the internet, whether it be like on social media posts, etc. But going back to the issue at hand, no, I would not for those reasons, but also for, I mean, I think even if the average person thought that, oh, nobody's going to steal my stuff, there's almost, and feel free to argue this if you want. But I feel like somebody's going to that site, they're most of the time they try to do so more so out of anonymity. It's not like they're going to post on Facebook, hey, I was on Pornhub this afternoon and I was searching X, Y, and Z.
I mean, at least in my personal experience, I've never seen a post like that. So I think your facts hold up in court.
Well, hey, tomorrow's a new day, so who knows?
Today's a weird day. You never know. You're right.
To answer your yes or no question, my answer is no. Please continue if you would like.
So, no what?
No, I would not personally give my ID.
Okay, so here's the downside. No one's willing to give their personal information of any kind to a porn website. And this verification stuff gets more extreme because right now it's just, are you over the age of 18, yes or no? If you click no, you're booted off. Who's going to do that? You're going to click yes, you're going to get right in. So the only way to actually make that worth everybody's time, you're going to have to make people verify their age and their identity, which won't happen, which will in turn most likely collapse the entire industry. No one loves the porn industry in terms of, I don't have anything for that one. Some people love the porn industry.
So can I just, I don't mean to cut you off, but let's look at it through a slightly different lens. Let's say, and I'm not trying to compare this, that, and the other. I'm trying to use something else that, okay, there's an age limit by law, at least. Let's say, for instance, alcohol, a simple one. So it's against the law for anybody under 21 to go into any kind of store or purchase alcohol, whether it be store, restaurant, whatever. Okay, and some people have their different feelings about that. It should be higher, lower, whatever. Okay, but as of right now,
for alcohol,
correct. Okay, so that's the rule, and it's decently easily enforceable. For the most part, they're supposed to ask the question. You try to ring up a case of beer at Kroger, the computer automatically notifies somebody to check your ID. Okay, cool. But with pornography and the internet, it's a little bit different. There's not that person, at the checkout you can just show your ID to. And so, obviously, in theory, the law itself that says, hey, nobody under 18 can view this content much more easily gets broken. And I don't think it's difficult to dispute the fact that it is illegal. However, it's an illegal practice that we've become used to as a society. It's something that we've kind of let fall by the wayside in the sense of, oh, it's been happening since the internet was invented. And I mean, hell, even before the internet, 12-year-olds getting hold of grandpa's Playboys or whatever, but separate discussion. But the point is, since the internet's inception, it's been available. And so because I think it's been going on for so long and it's become such a part of, oddly enough, culture, it's become a norm. So yeah, is it by the books illegal? But because everybody does it, it's like what pirating music was at one point, where, oh, everybody was doing it and it was almost impossible to enforce. So why am I going to bother?
So here's my big thing with this. In my point of view, they're cracking down on the illegal use of porn vastly more than the illegal use of firearms. We're more concerned with people that are under the age of 18 watching porn than we are of people buying and selling guns illegally, or possibly even raising the minimum age to buy a firearm, because I'm a firm believer that if I can't drink a beer, I shouldn't be able to have a gun of any kind. Either lower the drinking age to 18, which is a shit idea, or raise the age to buy a firearm. It just, to me, seems like a pretty hypocritical, possibly, thing to be fighting over when there's better things for the Supreme Court to be doing. Porn's not out there killing people by the thousands, by the hundreds. It's maybe wrecking some homes, possibly, who knows. But there's better things for the Supreme Court to be doing, is the base of my viewpoint here.
Fair enough. Hang on, I'm gonna hit pause. I'm gonna hit pause, and I'll edit it out later. I need to find a USB-C charger. This thing.
You should die.
It's yeah.
How far? We're 15 minutes in. We gotta wrap this bitch up. I think we stretched that out too long.
We'll do it in like 3 minutes.
Fucking homo. We'll just make sure the audience sees that you have a sparkly pink charging cord.
It's way over there.
Hey guys,
All right.
look at this faggot sparkly pink charging cord.
You're an idiot. All right, so I guess the short answer to your question is yes, I would agree that there are bigger issues to tackle. 100%, no doubt about it. Don't deny it. But with that being said, I would say in comparison, this issue is kind of the easy win, the low-hanging fruit, so to speak. What I mean by that is, okay, it's not even really an active effort at a federal level. It's state by state saying, hey, here's something we want to do. And the only reason the federal government's involved right now is because somebody challenged the state ruling. So the federal government or the judiciary basically said, okay, no, we're going to deny that appeal. We're going to allow the states to do this if that's what they want. And so the federal government's not crazily involved with it. And secondly, it's a lot easier for them to pass this saying, okay, we are upholding the state's ruling, as opposed to use your example, gun control, to where I would argue that it's a lot more complicated and the implications of such are a lot more widespread. Now, could you make the argument for the psychological effect of pornography on underage users? Sure. I'm sure we can make that argument. We can deep dive into it.
But I would like our Congress to actually act upon that. 'Cause I'm not going to say that there's not a correlation between gun violence or domestic violence and porn addiction. Maybe there is. There has been some cases that domestic violence cases have been tied to porn addiction, but Congress won't allow anybody to investigate this. Anything involving guns, they instantly shut down.
Well, and I'm all for discussing possibilities, but I don't think, at least for the terms of this, there's really any correlation between the two.
No.
I mean, and the only reason we're using it as an example is like, okay, if we had to sit here and compare, okay, which one is a more severe issue? Gun control, like as far as trying to make sure guns don't get in the hand of irresponsible owners, criminals, whatever, versus, hey, let's make sure everybody that's on Pornhub is 18. Yes, I would be fully agreeing and saying one issue has a lot higher implications than the other.
Correct.
However, once again, low-hanging fruit, this is a one-time stopgap.
But wouldn't you say low-hanging fruit is the responsibility of lower courts?
Hence why it's at the state level and it's being kept at the state level.
It went to the Supreme Court and they ruled that it was okay.
No, that's true, but it only went to the Supreme Court because somebody challenged the state's ruling. If somebody hadn't challenged the state's ruling, it would never have gone to the Supreme Court.
Yes, but just because someone challenges it to the Supreme Court doesn't mean the Supreme Court has to rule on it. They just spent time and resources to make a ruling on it. It wasn't something that they declined to take up. They chose to take this case and make a ruling. So now they have an official ruling on file. And that's what's disturbing to me, is that's what they're concerned about. They're concerned about our porn usage and not our gun ownership status or whatever you want to talk about.
I would wholeheartedly agree with you in the sense that, okay, yes, you're right. There's only so many cases the Supreme Court can take per year.
Hey, I have on camera, by the way, that you just said I'm right.
I'll make sure this gets deleted in a timely
No,
fashion.
no. Don't delete this. This all has to
You're
be
not
video.
right in the sense of that I taught something and then you prove me wrong. That's not what this is. But
Hey, I'm
with
gonna
that being
take right
said,
when rights comes around.
with that being said, no, I would agree in the sense that yes, they can only take so many cases a year. And could it be argued that it was a waste of time, effort, and resources by the Supreme Court to even hear this argument? Sure, I will grant that absolutely.
Hey, real quick before we end this video, because we're coming to a close, what's your thoughts on the Supreme Court basically ending their work year in July? I mean, granted, they're not like completely out of work. They're going to do some administrative stuff the rest of the year, but basically their last ruling was right around this foreign ruling. And July is about the last time they'll rule on something. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, being completely truthful, I'm not overly familiar with like the timetable of how the Supreme Court does things, and if that's their normal like schedule, okay, typically like if they only hear cases up to a certain point in the year, and there's like
It's
a hiatus.
typically, and I might be wrong. Don't exactly quote me. I thought it was October of, so it would have been October of 24 to July of 25, and there's like basically like an administrative period between. It's not like they're completely just going on vacation, not doing anything for the rest of the year. But it's stuff that on the surface kind of sounds like they can pass that on to their aides.
Sure. Honestly, I'd have to dig more into it. I mean, that could be a number of different things, everything from budgetary constraints. I mean, starting in October, which is the beginning of the federal fiscal year, to July, from a legal standpoint, maybe there's a certain thing when it comes to lawyers and judges to where, okay, they need X amount of days to where they're not actively digging through case. I honestly don't know.
Okay, so one more real quick one.
Okay.
Lifetime appointments, yes or no?
As far as Supreme Court justices?
Yes, correct.
Yes, I wholeheartedly for it because it is because of that maintains the separation of powers between the three branches because they have a lifetime appointment, they don't have the problem that pretty much every other person in government has, and that is term, or they don't have to,
Terms, and you have to take
They don't-
bribe money for campaigns, etc.
they don't have to worry
Okay.
about being reelected. So they have that job security.
Yeah.
So in theory, at least, they don't have to worry about somebody firing them if they make a ruling that either somebody in the executive branch, the legislative
Well,
branch.
you have
doesn't
a
want.
president right now threatening to try and impeach Supreme Court judges who rule against him. So that's not good.
Well, from a legal standpoint, as of right now, that is simply not in the cards. But as
I'm
I
not
said
a lawyer.
before,
I don't know. I'm a
tomorrow's
for it.
well, tomorrow's a new day, and I'm sure the craziness is not going to end anytime soon. So hopefully it doesn't come to that, but I guess we'll just have to see and wait and see what the future holds. But I'll tell you what, let's both try to be honest in this like last 30 seconds. So, okay, stepping out of the little game we just played of, one side or the other. As far as you taking the side of the, hey, this is, they shouldn't have upheld the ruling, they should have thrown it out, the state shouldn't be allowed to do this, and mine saying, yes, states should be allowed to do this. Who has the high ground? Who do you think has the edge?
I would say the I'm not even sure how to pronounce it or enunciate it. I don't think the Supreme Court should have taken this case. Full stop. It's a waste of their time. Not worth it.
Sure. I think, and once again, it's not a complete thing, but I think that in this very strange case, it's one of those cases to where I think the states easily can have power, and I'm all for a balance between state and federal. And is it a very odd issue, but I don't think it's a hill for anybody to really die on. Okay, if certain states feel like they want to do so and like, okay, these are our values, this is what we want to do as a state, will it inconvenience some, will it, and we can talk about a whole nother economic fucking rabbit hole of, okay, how it impacts the industry, jobs, whatever. But I think it's not a hill to die on for anybody. And I think it's a perfect example of a balance between states and federal.
I think we believe it or not, I think we agree on this one. I think it's if the state decides it, that's up to the state. That's up to the voters. If the voters don't like it, they can vote in new leadership and change it later on. It's not something the Supreme Court should be dealing with. That's a state decision. Let it stand. If the state decides it, so be it. It's not the Supreme Court's decision. They got better shit to do. So I think we came to an agreement in a long roundabout way.
Well, hey, it worked out in that sense. Well, all right, that'll do it for this episode. Remember, stay educated, stay knowledgeable, stay
And-
nerdy.
Always take the high ground.